it's just going to be faster and a better job if we can just get rid of it. Hold your horses. Whoa up, Tonto. I haven't got to worry about it. It's all dead. That's why I do this. So that's okay. That's not a problem. So they've got something to see, which I think is silly, really. It's been a bit silly, isn't it? It's been a bit silly. So the plan is for that one, maybe that's overkill. Maybe it is. I don't know. Stupidly, I don't know whether they were playing a prank on me or what. That's where I wish I was just a couple of inches taller. Hi guys, welcome to the channel. So today I'm getting on with rewiring this garage. So you may be wondering why I'm rewiring this garage, and the fact of the matter is it is old. It is old, and also the customer has readily admitted that there's been a lot of changes over the years and bits and bobs that are all sorted. And I said, look, let's just sort it out. It's not going to take that much to rewire the whole thing and get it all back to absolute perfect spec. So some of the things that we're sorting in here, we're going to put 2 new strip lights in. We've got a lot of, look at this. I mean, look at that. So that's the board as it stands right now. We're going to put a new board on. We've got loads of different bodges and stuff that's been going on. So we've got an alarm in here. We've also got the roller doors that they've done the classic where they've just plugged it in. So that's all being sorted. Outside lights, we're also going to put in a 20 amp circuit dedicated for one socket outside because the customer is having an EV charger. Part of this whole video won't be on this one today, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, because there will be further videos for this particular job, because we're fitting a new EV charger outside, which is going to be absolutely massive run all the way back to the house, which is way that way. So stay tuned for that one. Also in here, we've got some double sockets that are being changed on the back. So we're getting rid of what is there, and we're going to quickly run through some of the actual issues. So after chatting with the client and saying, oh, we need to sort all these bits and bobs out, we're like, what's the best course of action? So we're going to change this board, get rid of that, get rid of all of this, because I think that is for the garage door. So we're going to put that on its own. This one is for an outside light over there. That is for the alarm, I believe. And look at the state of this. All hashed in because it's not got any room for growth or anything. It's just a mess. We've got a mix and match of cable supplies. So we've got enough armouring on here so we can sort all that bit out. The lighting itself, so up here you'll see, well, I don't know whether you can see it because obviously the light's on, but we've got, they're good, don't get me wrong, they do the job, but these are like the lamp replacements that you can get from like Amazon, something like that. And then across the back here, we've got some metal clad sockets. Obviously I know you can go, oh, you're being a bit extreme, Mikey, but we've got no grommets coming in, wrong size cable, same both sides. And like I say, after chatting to the customer and saying, look, it's up to you, I don't mind whatever you want to do, I'm all good with, we can try and repair. But in this instance, it's just going to be faster and a better job if we can just get rid of it. We've also got like a frost protector because there is a sink just here. I believe it was a frost protector for the pipes, because obviously it gets very cold in here. There is no heating whatsoever. And I just thought, do you know what? Let's just smash it out and get the job done properly. So we're going to be using loads of new kit for in here. I'll go through all that in a second of what kit we're going to be installing, why we're going to do it this way, and try and talk you through it. So for those of you who are new to this channel, you might be coming into the trade. Hopefully in this video you'll get enough information that might give you a little bit more confidence for your projects that you're doing for yourself. So lighting wise, we're going with a 4-foot single strip lights. We're going to be mounting 2 of those up, which should give you plenty of space. So they're going to be mounted across this way, because if I don't mount them that way and go that way, the client's not going to get all the stuff out on the top. Cable wise, as always, we're going to be using Doncaster cable, the Earthshore. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it has got a pre-sleeved earth in there. Everyone's seen that so far. It's absolutely epic. The consumer unit we're going to be using is a fuse box board. It's a 7-way, I believe, because obviously it leaves room for growth and things like that, because there are some future plans for in here. So we'll get that mounted up, which is great. It's just a main switch board, and it's going to be powered up with MCBs. Now, you may be wondering, Mikey, that is nuts. Why on earth are you just doing that and there's no RCD protection? So hold your horses. Whoa up Tonto, there is RCD protection going in. So at the main feed back at the house, there's already RCD protection right now on this circuit, but it is being changed. So we're changing that board over for a new board with surge protection device at source, RCBOs throughout. We just need to get it sorted, and that is what it is. So don't panic. The reason why I'm not putting an RCD board in here is because I'm going to call it something which you guys are going to moan at and say it's not the right thing, but I call it selectability, which and I keep forgetting because of the dyslexia and the ADHD, I completely forget the official term for it, but you get the gist of it. Is that if I've got an RCD down this end, an RCD down this end, and as I'm doing, you know, in a fault condition, it might take this one out, might take this one out. So then you get this problem with the selectability. I'm going to keep calling it because I'm sure it's triggering some of you. You'll get a problem on which one it is. So as long as, in my eyes, the entire installation, if I do it this end, the entire installation, including the armouring that's coming this way, back into here, is all completely RCD protected, that's surely a better thing because the entire installation is protected. And that's what we're doing. The other way around it, because before you start typing in the comments, the other way of doing it is putting a time delay RCD in the garage. So this one, yeah? Have you searched up the price on a time delay RCD? They are pricey. I mean pricey. And it's not, you don't need to do it. I understand if you're in a big mega factory and all the rest of it, I get it, I completely get that. But we're not. We're in a garage in somebody's home. So anyway, let's strip that out and get that board gone and start the magic. Okay, so we knocked the power off in here. I've not done the other end just yet, so I'm going to go down and lock it off in a minute. But just look at this. I know some of you went, oh, I'm a bit extreme, blah, blah, blah. Look at this. So this is inside the board. Now we've only got a 30 amp supply to this. I've got lighting, I've got flex, a 1mm flex in there. We've got what should be a 20 amps, that's 2.5mm on there. There is a whole world of wrongs within that. Obviously, it's not grommeted, nothing like that. So definitely the right thing to be doing to remove it. I have had another thought. So this actually comes supply in here, then runs over that way. So I think maybe new board location, just there. I'll move a little bit of this, put the board there. We've not got all the gubbins over the sink area a lot. I think that's probably a better job. So I'm going to go in, lock off in the house and go and speak to the client, make sure he's okay. We'll whack that there. And then I'm literally going to strip everything out. So 2 secs, I'll be back. So that's suitably locked off. So for those of you who don't know what it is, so these things like this are lock-off devices. Important to keep the keys on you. Don't let them just lie them around anywhere, especially if you're working on a site where there is multiple people. So that's locked off now. So for the entire rest of this build, I haven't got to worry about it. It's all dead. Nobody can energise it. So I can work completely safely and peace of mind. So make sure if you are an apprentice, you get into that habit from day one that you're locking stuff off while you're working, because I have been on sites where I've witnessed other people who have not done it and they've had a whack. Not good. Okay, so we've proved dead with our voltage indicators. I've already spoke to the client. The client's fine with me putting all the consumer unit down there now, which is actually loads better. It's a much better position for everything. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get some of this stuff out the way, which is great. We can get rid of that. Board's going to be mounted there. I've got a supply coming in. So what's left for me to do right now is I'm going to strip absolutely everything out and get it all gone. So I've got a blank canvas to work from. So let's get cracking. Okay, so completely stripped out now. We have moved some bits out of here. So the board, we're going to whack. The board's going to be mounted somewhere like that. I've just spoke to the customer. He's like, yeah, that's fine, no problem at all. And then what we're going to do, run everything back to here. So I think first things first. So obviously I've isolated all the power off. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get the lights up. Now we'll start getting the lights up. So some of the things that I have found, okay, so this is why I love this part of the job, in fairness. It sounds a bit geeky, doesn't it? But I do love discovering things. That's why I do this. So cable wise, so the cable in here has no actual earth built into it whatsoever. So it just goes to show the signs of age with this. Also, it is the like tinned aluminium cable, some of it, so the sockets especially. Stamped up on here, interestingly enough, it's actually stamped up at 2004, which yes, don't get me wrong, some of you that are watching this weren't even born then, and I get that. But it's not that old, really, and there's no earthing in that, so that's fine. That's one issue that's going to be dealt with by doing this. So this cable here is like the old tinned aluminium, I believe it is. Tinned aluminium? So let's just peel some of this back so you can see it. Now, this stuff is old. So as you can see inside here, so I'll just strip this back a little bit more. So inside there, look, so you've got your tinned aluminium and your cores. Now, yes, that's a really old cable, so that's that. Another little point, be really careful with boards like this, right? So some of these have got asbestos fuse carriers in there. So you'll notice that I've not took that fuse carrier out at all. I've just cut it all around it and done away with it. So I'm not going to mess about with that. So just be mindful that some of the old ones that look like this have got asbestos in that. So just be really, really careful that you don't disturb it too much. So on the back sockets down here, so this was a new one for me. So we've got a little pigtail that was in the actual, inside the socket, stopping the cable being able to pull through. Also wired in 1mm. Again, there's, like I say, multiple issues because obviously we've got everything pumped through as a 30 amp supply. So 30 amp here, 32 amp back at the house, which the supply cable is fine for. It's 6mm, so that's okay. That's not a problem. And then inside here, you can see the good example on there where you've got your tinned aluminium that comes in your 2.5mm, and then it's butchered out this side into your 1mm going out. So sleeving was a semi option on there, so we've got a little bit of sleeving and then they ran out. So that's fine, that's done. So all stripped, lighting out. So I'm going to get the lights mounted up now. So with these, so these are, who are they made by? Cuvis. There you go. Cuvis, here we go. Also just took a delivery because some of my parts for the EV charger were wrong, which was a little bit frustrating, but thanks to CEF, they've sorted out rapid within half an hour. They came out and sorted that. So these light fittings themselves are decent fittings. They will kick out a hell of a lot of light. They have a little sliding button on the side which will allow you to pop those off and take the LED element out of the way, which hopefully, yeah. So you can completely take it off if you want. So that's obviously getting that completely out of there. You've got a push connector by the looks of it. And then you've probably, yeah, so on here you've got a colour selector as well. So we've got white, cool white, and, oh sorry, warm white, cool white, and cool. Don't know, I'm gonna go with that one, the highest one. Yeah, so we'll get these mounted up, get them done first, and then, yeah, start running some cable, which is nice. So first things first, customer points. That's my second brew, and I didn't ask, just brought them straight in. And it's made with goat's milk. Check that out. So, can't tell the difference, gonna be honest, it's nice. I just appreciate being offered. So, just mounted up the lights. The lights are up, they are in place. So now it's on to running some cable. So I tend to do it this way. The other thing I'm going to do is we're going to run the light switch, so the loop feed to the light switch, which is fine. So we're going to effectively, what it means is going to come out the board and then into the light switch. Probably going to mount it around the door area, make life a little bit easier for that, because before it was mounted up here, and obviously they're coming in and having to find out, and I think that's why they've put some little battery lights so they've got something to see, which I think is silly really. So we're going to sort all that out. So we're going to run the cable back, so we're going to go from this one all the way through down to this one, and then from that one back down to there. So need to get the cable whacked onto the drum runner. So what we're using is one of these. So this is a Run Protect. I can't put the T down. I can. It's been a bit silly, isn't it? It's been a bit silly. So Run Protect, whack that on. It's basically a board with ball bearings. If you've got cable that has got the cover missing off it, you can stick it on there and it's all good to go. So really, really good bit of kit, love it. And also it will come in invaluable when I've got the massive drum of Armoured in the next video that you'll see. So like I say, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Turn that notification on and let's get some cable ran. Oh, before I forget, we're going to be using that bad boy. I absolutely love this. This is my cable stapler from Milwaukee. Not sponsored by them at all, wish it was, but it's not. Absolutely love it. Get yourself one of these. Saves you a ton of time, and it really does fix really well as opposed to some other brands that I have tried, and they just don't seem to have the same purchase with them. But anyway, let's get some cables ran. Okay, so the lights are in, and I've wired them up as well. So they are wired up, so I've got the lids on and all the rest of it. So we just clipped along and come back to what would be the light switch is going to be on that post, I think. So that's fine, so that's that bit. So what's left there, I need to get a feed out of there to the board. One of the jobs that we've got to do is we've got to put a dedicated 20 amp feed outside. So just the other side of where that sink is. He wants a 20 amp feed outside for his EV. Basically, you know, like the granny EV chargers, right? So you got the granny lead. Yes, I know we're putting in the main one, but he wants an additional backup. And also for when he's doing like jet washing and all that sort of stuff, but that's going to be disconnected from anything else, just purely that, which is fine. So we're going to plug that in. So the plan is for that one, by the side of those shelvings, we're going to run a bit of trunk in. So we're going to get a bit of, I think it's YT3, I think that is, trunk in. We're going to use that to run down the side of that, and then we're going to go underneath that sink and then outwards. That's the plan. So we're going to do that now, get that bit sorted. Yeah, so it's a little bit like, so what I've done as well is I've clipped all the way along. So every single joist, we've got a clip on there. So it's all, I mean, I know maybe that's overkill, maybe it is, I don't know, but hey. So one of the things I did the other day, right? So I did my first live stream that I've done for 2 years, right? And I actually really enjoyed it. So if you want me to do more live streams, whether that's on a Friday, because that's my studio day, and do a bit of quick Q&As and all the rest of it, let me know in the comments below, because I'll do a few more of those. So people were asking me things about like the NIC, assessments, all that sort of stuff. There was an apprentice, an adult apprentice, should we say, like an adult learner, that he was asking me questions about rates of pay and all that sort of stuff. That, yeah, so, and I actually really enjoyed it, and it was nice for me to be able to give back a little bit of knowledge that I've had over the years. So if you want me to do some of those, leave it in the comments below, or send me a DM or whatever, and I'll see if we can start doing that a little bit more regularly, because I quite enjoyed it, and it's something I can do alongside while I'm working on a Friday in the studio. So, so yes, so that being said, right now we're going to get the 2.5mm, so we're going to put a 2.5mm cable in from there, over there, down. But I think first things first, I'm going to get my trunking measured out and get that all sorted. See, it doesn't have to be all that precise, this doesn't, because it's not going all the way up to the top. So we're going 2390 is what we're doing. So there's a couple of ways you can cut this. And like I say, it doesn't have to be all that jazzy. We can use a set square if we want, that's fine. The saw, I'm terrible for this. Not like I work in chaos anyway. It's just a symbol of my brain. Genuinely don't know what I've done with that saw now. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Ah. Voila. So the saw, so there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can use this or an oscillator, depending on which way you want to go. So you can also use a set square if you wanted to make sure it's nice and square on your cuts. Like I say, it doesn't matter too much on this, but just keeping your old standards and all the rest of it. So all hand saws will come with a sort of square edge. So we'll rip that off. So this saw itself is a fine tooth saw and it's designed specifically for plastic. So just get yourself one of those. They're quite good in fairness. Now, the other thing with this, I will go back to using the oscillator in a minute, but right, this trunking comes with a sticky back plastic. Remember the old Blue Peter days? There you go, it's showing the age. Sticky back plastic. Do not, and I repeat, do not rely on that, because that ain't gonna hold on, I tell you now. It just doesn't hold on. You are asking for a world of problem if you're going to rely on that. And if you, yeah, just don't do it, right? So use it as an initial stick, that's fine. So we can do that on here, but do not think it's a stick and go, because it's going to fall off. And then you're going to look really stupid. So what I've done on this one, I've gone up to the top. Hopefully you can see that enough. So I've gone up to the top. We're going to put a screw fix in that timber up there, and then we can run cables all the way along. And then every so often we'll put a little fix in, little sort of 30mm screw in there with plugs and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's one of those jobs, and I think it just looks a bit neater than just straight clipping, direct clipping, in fairness. So we'll whack that on. Okay, so I'll give you the classic example, right? So this, you can see I haven't pulled off the backing as such. So we're going to do that together. So we're going to pull that off, press it down, and that ain't going to hold on there for long. So I've just put that on the lower end and it didn't hold at all. You see? See, that just comes off, and that's within minutes. Okay, so if you leave that like that, which I did, because originally when I first started using this, way back when, the wholesaler said, you don't need to use the fixings, that's fine. And stupidly, I don't know whether they were playing a prank on me or what, I listened, and I got a phone call back saying, Mike, this all the trunking's come down, the cables all come down, and it was, don't get me wrong, there wasn't a load of cables in there, but it was a bit of 10mm earthing, and it came off. And yeah, maybe look stupid, cost me money, and yeah, lesson learnt. So do not ever rely on that as your fixing. So put a few in, everybody wins. One thing you've got to remember, this is only a single skin garage. Okay, so what I mean by that is that there's only a single course of bricks for this garage wall before you end up outside and blowing a big hole on the outside, which I tell you now would not go down well with the client. So another fixing in the top, because that timber sticks out slightly more than that, but perfect. We'll whack a fixing in, and then that way we are good to go. That's where I wish I was just a couple of inches taller. But yeah, so cable now ran. We'll get that back down, through there, drill through outside. Another one of the cables done and dusted. So what I'm trying to do is get on with as much first fix, second fix as I can, if that makes any sense to you guys. So what that means is we got our double socket mounted up there, because of warranty issues, I can't cut off the moulded plugs. So if you can see from that, they're a moulded plug. Means I can't just take that off and cut it off. Because of the door, sometimes you can fall foul on companies going, well, you've cut the manufacturer's plug off, blah, blah, blah. It's a joke really, but it is what it is. So got two plugs there that are mounted, that are moulded plugs. So we've got those two sorted, so that's fine. The other fuse spur by the side of it, that controls the outside light, which is fine. So one thing to note on those is that they always come, you could turn off for now, I've got no power to it anyway, but they always come with a 13 amp fuse unless specified. So obviously we don't want 13 amps pumping out to that light. So we're going to downgrade that to a 3 amp little fuse, which is fine. New light position is going in here. So this is the feed back to the lights. And then we need to get a loop feed from here, just up and over that rafter. So you can probably see them down there. So up and over that rafter, and then that's where the board's going to go. And then I've got to chuck my cables down that way. So I've got another 2.5 mil radial circuit that's going in for 3 double sockets along that back wall. So yes, so it's just, there's a lot going on, but what I'm tending to find today, for some reason, don't really know why, I keep tripping over things. I keep like getting stuff in the way, and I know the customers moved a lot of stuff, which is brilliant in fairness, I'm not complaining at all, but I keep sort of like, you ever have those days where you just can't quite get in the groove, and that's where I'm at. That's one of those days right now. So I've got to get my cable ran. I was just looking to see whether there was a cavity behind that wall unit, and there isn't. So what I'm gonna have to do is try and drag that freezer out. Hopefully there's not too much in there, and then we'll clip round the back, drop a line down and bosh some sockets across the back. So yeah, so plenty to do, but the weather's just closing in now, so I've just had to bring some of the kit in from outside. The cable is outside for the outside socket. I haven't got the front on just yet because I've been concentrating on some of this internal stuff. So yeah, so there's a lot going on, and I'm not running out of time. I'm good for time, in fairness, at the minute. So yeah, it's good for time. So it's just more of a case of just trying not to get too sort of jumbled up. And I want to try and get this board on as quickly as possible. Now, you may, obviously that freezer that's there, right? So that freezer has had no power to it for a long time, right? So that'll be absolutely fine. It's cold anyway. I know I'm in a t-shirt, it's because I am working hard. It's cold, so it's not going to defrost anything, it'll be fine. I ain't got to worry about any of that jazz. Also, what I've done now is I've extended the cable for the burglary alarm as well. I've brought that through. And then that's going to have an isolator over here, a non-switch spur over this way. So it's away from that as well. So yeah, so it's getting there, It's slow progress, but I want to cut off the armoured as well. So the armoured needs to come off and out of the way, and then I can sort of tidy all that lot up after. But let's get this 2.5 mil ran in. So as always, like I say, the drum runner is absolutely perfect for this. It's a great bit of kit. I just got to be mindful of when you're pulling it that you are putting it in the right places. So for like here, I want to go that way, so it needs to go down there and keep it fairly shallow, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Okay, so I've got the trunking on. I've had to put trunking down that corner, which was, I'm going to be honest, a bit of a mission. The trunking's on. Whack those 3 across the back there, so they're all good to go. Now my cables are dropped down, so I've just got the loop feed for this light switch then to just chuck over, which is fine. I'll get these second fixed. So second fixing on these sockets. So we're going to be using Hager sockets. Oh, heart breaking my neck. So these are the Hager sockets that we're going to be using, the old 2 gangs. Pretty standard. So the back boxes as well that I'm using are a soft module box, so they've got abilities to take in trunking and things like that, little knockouts for the round, so they're a soft pattress. Now I know some people will go, oh, you know, like the hard ones, like the hard Bakelite style ones, you only have to look at them and they'll smash, because some people might be going, well, you should have used metal clad and all the rest of it. Yes, I could, but then do I use galvanised conduit, do it in zinc singles? Where do you draw the line with this sort of thing? So I've just gone with trunking soft pattresses. It's not a commercial, it is just somebody's garage that they do a little bit of messing about with and building bits and bobs on the back. Fine. Metal clad, yes, I could have used metal clad, but it's probably a little bit excessive, if I'm honest, in here. So just run those in. I think it looks neat enough. Don't have to go too crazy with all these things. So we'll get these boshed in. And then regarding testing, I think what I might do is do a full video on the testing side of this, because I know a lot of apprentices and stuff have messaged, they've watched some of the previous videos that I've done on testing and they've really enjoyed it. So I haven't done one for a little while, so maybe I should just do that. And then in fairness, I might even bring the NIC assessor to this one, because it's like 3 jobs in one. So we've got this rewire, we've got the EV charger coming up, and the main board for the entire house. So yeah, so it might be, you know, it'll be a good one for the NIC to see the assessor, because I know I'm slightly going off tangent here, but when you're an approved contractor, they like to see 3 major jobs. So what I've got in my head is this would be classed as a major job because you're putting boards in and all the rest of it. They want to see, if you do loads of commercial, they want to see that. I don't really do commercial, so it doesn't really matter to me. EVs are a great one because obviously they're a high demand load as such, although I know technically it's just a radial circuit, but there's a lot more technical ability with all those, you'd like to think. And then what I might do is take him over to our big site in Rugby, just so he can see all the first fix, what we've got going on over there. So yes, so just going off on tangent. So like I say, earlier on in the video, let me know in the comments if you do want me to see if I can film that. If I can film the NIC assessment, I'll try and do it. But I know they have sort of like privacy things that they're a little bit like shy on. So right, let's get these put on. Okay, so when it comes to wiring up the light switches, right, so we're going to need a few bits. So we're going to need some Wagos, because it's all plastic switches and all the rest of it. We're going to need some kit like that. One of the things that I do is I always label up, so I'll put switch live and permanent live in here. If there was another one going out, you'd have another L on there, which is permanently live. So what we're going to do, we're going to strip that all back and get that prepped and ready. So for those of you who are learning, this is how I do it. So what I'll do is peel back, making sure I don't go too mad and I can still see my marks. So from someone else to be able to come in at a later date. Obviously, it being as a Sparky, throw that on the floor. That goes without saying, there's no tidying up necessary. So peel them back, and then you're going to want to take your earth and neutrals here, make them fairly short because you don't need anything crazy. Peel them all back. Then going to get your Wagos like that. And then what I do with these is loop them backwards so they're both out of the way. Now you don't have to do this, right? So this next stage that I'm doing, I generally put on a bit of sleeving. So that sleeving goes on my switch line. Okay, so you don't have to do it because it's a bright brown indicated piece. So there's no requirement to do that, but for me, I like to do it because it just helps the next guy out so he knows exactly which one he's going out to the light. So double them over like that. And then that way it gives you a greater surface area when you're putting in to the terminals. Now you will notice that on here, there is a neutral loop, L1, L2. So that neutral loop, you could stick those inside there, but it's not something that I ever do. I always keep it this way, keep it simple, and make life a lot easier. Now I don't normally use this screwdriver because it's rough as anything, but I just can't be bothered to go and walk over there to grab my other one. Okay. So fold those in, and that is it. That's how I go about doing my light switches. So another little bit that I do with the actual screws, and it keeps everything uniform, right, across all of the installation. So you either do it horizontal or vertical. So I just find it's a little indicator as well to let people know that whether you've messed about with it. But if they were all over the shop, it just shows that you don't really give a monkeys. Which we both know isn't true, because if you didn't give a monkeys, you wouldn't be watching this video and trying to learn a little bit more. So that's all sorted now. So now I need to get my trunk in. So I've got some larger trunk in. I think this is YT4, I think it is. So hopefully you can see a little bit of girth on it. More than enough to get for all of these cables that we've got coming down. So I'm going to whack that straight on the wall now. and then I'm going to mount the board, and then we're going to peel back all the armoured cable, and then we can start getting that all dressed into the board. So yeah, a lot going on. Right, so we are getting towards the end of the day, and like I said, as I think I might end up doing a few multiple videos on this, right? So the board is on. Well, I say on, it's up to here. So we've now got obviously the clear labelling. So on here we've got alarm, door sockets, bench sockets, outside socket and lights. Now notice this one here. So this one is actually for the alarm, and yes, that is going to be changed because as I said earlier on, the wholesalers are brilliant, but there are some young lads there and they keep making mistakes, and this is one of them. Being a real world channel that it is, that needs to be swapped out for a non-switch spur so somebody doesn't accidentally turn the alarm off, which would be really annoying because that battery will only last so long before it starts kicking off and not being very happy. So what's left for me to do now is get all of these cables all dressed in nice and neat. So we're going to quickly do that because I am running out of time rapidly. So we'll get that on, and then we will make another video coming up for all the testing, but I'm going to just quickly blast that through. So just quickly underneath here, so we've got a storm gland on there. We've also got the link through to carry on that armouring all the way through up here, which is going to be earthing the actual continuous earth path for the actual steel wired armoured. And in here, storm glands as usual, absolute game changer they are for me. I absolutely love them. And then we're going to got a lot of separation along here. And what's nice is the customer has just come in and went, oh, it's about time you have another cup of tea. So that is what we're doing. But we were just having a little natter, and he was just saying how chuffed he is with all the work. And he was telling me some of the horror stories that he's had from different people, and it is amazing what people get away with. But right, we're gonna get that quickly blasted in, and yeah, and then get some power back on in here. Okay, so you may gather that the power is on. So power's all on, energized, and not in too bad time in fairness, because it's just started hammering it down outside, just as I've got the socket on outside for the EV, like the granny lead charger. So yes, the board, I'll just quickly show you that. So here she is. So the board is all done. So you'll notice there is a bit of sleeving that I've put on just to indicate that obviously we've got new harmonized colors on there. So we've got the brown and then the earth sleeving. Blue was already in there as it was before. Now what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to make this into another video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a full testing video on this and all the labeling and everything else, because I think it's probably a better video just to put a bit more concentration on that rather than just try and, you know, quickly get it done, because it's now 20 to 5, which I know is crazy late for an electrician. But the customers have just asked me and said, look, we've got the shower pull cord, which is broke randomly, and they are desperate to get that sorted. So I'm going to go and jump and do that before I do anything else. So I'll get the cover on that. But like I say, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel and you've learned one little thing or you've enjoyed this video, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and if you want to see more jobs like that or what I've been doing today in more detail, let me know in the comments below, and I shall see you on the next one.